My name is Dr. Craig Goodman. I'm here at Hida Brut to speak to you about Torah and psychology. And today I wanted to use 3 laws as tools to help us to develop a better way of thinking and living in every aspect of our life, whether it's spiritual or economic, education, family. Now, there are several laws, but let's start with the first 3. And these laws, I was a bit inspired by a man by the name of Brian Tracy. He integrated these laws, but they exist in a lot of places. Now, the first law that we want to mention is the law of belief, or as we would call it, the law of emunah. Now, what's so important about this law? Now, first of all, it's the first law. It's the most important law, according to the priority, the hierarchy. Number 1, the law of belief, or law of emunah. This entails everything that we think about. What we believe is really a collection of thoughts and bits of information based on previous experiences, based on things that we've heard or been told or learned, based on our own premonition or expectations, and so on and so forth. So belief is something that is, although the definition can be a bit vague, when I believe in something, I believe in it because I have a reason to believe in those things, or there's something that's important to me. It's a collection of these thoughts. Like, for example, if I believe that there are going to be people who are going to see this lecture, then hence I'm going to sit here and give this lecture because I believe that later on there may be some people that will want to hear it. So based on my beliefs that in the past I've said things that were maybe a little bit interesting or had something important to share, and people were interested in hearing what I had to say. So based on those previous experiences, I believe, I have the emunah that this lecture will not be any different. Now, obviously, we don't have control over what happens. In fact, one time I heard a Rav ask a kahal, a audience, what is free choice? Bchira chofshi. And several people raised their hands and answered that free choice is really, basically, you decide what you're going to do in life, or what happens to you in life. But it's not really true. Most of the most significant things, the majority of the significant things that occur in our life are not under our control. Usually we don't choose where we're born, we don't choose how we look, or if we have certain limitations, whether it be physical or mental, all kinds of things that may happen around us. I mean, there may be a natural disaster. These are things that we don't have free choice about. So if we don't have control over these things, then what is free choice? Free choice is how we react to what happens in our life. How do we accept those things in our life? What do we do with them? That's our free choice. That's the choice that we have. Now let's go back to the law of belief. The law of belief, just like any other law, it's for good and for bad. Now if I believe in something good, then that's what's going to happen. If I believe in something bad, then that's what's going to happen. So the law of belief says that everything you believe in with feeling becomes your reality. Now, why do I add this aspect of feeling? Well, it's very important. If somebody has a desire, say they want to get a job or they want to succeed in something, so they keep saying it and repeating it over and over to themselves. They keep thinking about it all the time. But it may not really happen because underneath that person does not have that feeling, or that, as we say, kavanah, that intention, that intent, that he has an intention in his foremind, in his regular thinking, but in the thinking underneath that, he may think something completely different. So, we have to be completely sure. For example, when someone goes to pray, you go to a shul, a temple, you pray, a beit knesset, and obviously you get mitzvah points, you get credit for praying with a minyan, you get credit for praying to Hashem, of course. It's valuable in the eyes of Hashem. But if you pray without kavanah, without intent, simply just read the words, it's obviously less powerful, the prayer. It's less effective. And that's really one of our challenges, because we are creatures of habit and we constantly read these prayers over and over every day. So we habitually start to read them. And oftentimes you could be reading the prayer book, looking through and saying the prayer, even thinking what the prayer means, but not really having kavanah, not intending. That very same moment, you may be thinking about picking up the dry cleaning or what to buy. You need to buy milk and eggs for the house. So it's very important that we try to keep this in mind, and that we know that if I don't try to get my feelings involved, which is really what we're talking about, the kavanah, I don't feel the prayer, I don't connect to it with my heart, with my soul, then it's just somewhat empty words. And that goes for anything. So in terms of the law of belief, I have to believe in these things that I want to happen in my life, but I have to believe in them with feeling. I can't just coldly say it to myself over and over and hope that it'll sink in eventually. Okay? The second law is called the law of expectation, or tzipiyah in Hebrew. Now, what does this law entail? Basically, it's got two levels. On the one hand, much like the law of belief, I have to expect that what I believe or what I want to happen will happen. Okay, I expect it to come true, or I expect it to or not come true. And this is my belief, and I expect this to happen. But in addition to that, as they say, when we do avodas Hashem, when we follow Hashem's will, we have to work for it. We have to do things, to do mitzvahs. You can't just sit around passively and not do anything, right? So we have to make an effort. We have to go and do things. So I have to expect myself to do those things that I want to do. So what is the law of expectation saying? That we have to literally generate expectations from ourselves every day that will allow us to come closer to those goals and beliefs that we have. And that means to just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying until you succeed. But I have to expect myself to do everything in my power to achieve that. The third law is the law of attraction, okay? Now, there's been a lot of things written about this law and several books that came out. It was a very popular concept for the last few years. But the Torah, long before all those places, talked about it. Now, let me give you a reference in a moment, but first let me explain what is the law of attraction. Basically, the law of attraction says that we're like magnets. We all have kind of a electromagnetic field or energy field around us, and we all have the fact that we're spiritual beings. Based on our thoughts and our desires, we have the propensity or the ability to attract into our lives the things that we believe in and that we expect. Law 1 and Law 2. So, likewise, if I believe in something or expect something good to happen, then I'm going to attract that into my life. And on the reverse, if I expect something bad to happen or I don't expect something good to happen, that also will be my reality in the end. And I will expect it to or not to happen for good or for bad. Now, the law of attraction means that we have the ability to pull in, to attract people and events and things and occurrences into our lives that are parallel with what we think. I gave several lectures about this, and I talked about how the thoughts actually create angels. This is the Marasha from the Gemara in Masechet Makot, in the Tractate Makot, the 10th page, on the 10th Amud, on the second page, Daf Yud Amud Bet. B'derech she'adam rotzeh lalechet ba, molichin oto. We discussed that the way the person wants to go, he will be led. But how will he be led? By the thoughts that he has, or the types of thoughts that he has. So if my thoughts are negative, obviously I'm going to create negative things in my life. Whereas on the reverse, if my thoughts are positive, I'm going to bring in and attract positive things into my life. That's very important. Now, the Gemara talks about these angels actually helping us, creating these angels by our thoughts. Every time we have a thought, we create an angel. So these angels are literally going out in front of us and opening doors and moving roadblocks and opening the way for us, paving the way for what we don't want to do, for good and for bad. Now there's, in the Gemara, in the 3rd chapter in Moed Katan, in the tractate Moed Katan, it talks about a mother who loses a son. Now, this mother was so sad and so depressed and so distraught from this passing of her son that she just cried and cried and cried and was miserable. And I mean, even after the designated period of mourning, which is, as we say, the first 3 days, is a period of intense mourning that we're supposed to cry, we're supposed to let out all our feelings. Then the next 4 days, it's a little less, but it's also supposed to be intensive, but we're supposed to lower it a notch. And then for 30 days, and then for a year. This is the process of mourning. It's all happens systematic and step by step. But also, we have to know that everything is from Hashem. And when something happens, a tragedy, we may not understand why it happens or to what purpose, but we have to try to accept it. As I said, we have to, are part of our free will, we have to decide how we are going to respond to this particular event. Now, if I choose to respond negatively, if I think negatively, if I believe in negative things, I expect negative things, obviously I'm going to attract these negative things into my life. And if I don't, if I think, on the converse, positive things, I'm going to attract these positive things into my life. Now let's go back to this reference. This mother was crying so much that not only one son died, but another son died. And then another, and then another, until all her son died, and she was so distraught and so miserable that she herself eventually passed away. Now, what are we supposed to learn from this Gemara? Rashi says something very, very important. He says, Shekol hanimshach al tsar yeter midai, Hatzar nimshach acharav. What does that mean, translated? Anyone who's attracted or gets attracted to suffering, tsar, the suffering is attracted to him. He will attract that suffering. He will draw that suffering to him. That's what the Gemara is saying. That the more that I have sadness and negative thinking, the more I draw that sadness and negative thinking into my life, the more I am responsible. I, as a person, have the responsibility and the power to change what I feel and what I think. And when I say I mean we, all of us. I'm speaking in the first person to give you an example. But the converse is true. If I have great happiness and great joy and great love, then I have this incredible ability to draw these things to me, to draw positive experiences. Have you ever had an experience where you learn something and suddenly you start seeing it everywhere or noticing it, or you learned a Devar Torah, something in terms of a Torah, a new thing in terms of your Torah learning, and then suddenly you start to notice that everywhere you go, or you start to see it in a lot of different places. We are attracting that. It's not only just because I'm now aware of it and I'm starting to pay attention to it, but literally we are attracting these things into our lives. So the more that I'm happy, the more that I attract positive things. There was a story, my Rav, I have a Rav who was a Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Leisrak, that every Rosh Hashanah he tells a story. He tells a story about two neighbors that literally grew up next to one another. They went to the same schools or yeshivot. They went to the same kollel for learning, for Torah learning. They made the same salary. They gave the same tzedakah. I mean, everything was literally even Steven. I mean, they literally were the same all throughout their lives. When they, after 120 years, they went up to the heavens, one of them comes in and he had a great reception, and he's got, I mean, until here of merit and credit for what he's done. The other friend had literally half of what he had. And the friend came and started complaining. He says, hey, what's going on here? How come he gets twice of the reward as me? And he started literally itemizing, going down the list, saying, yeah, I did everything. We studied the same, we did the same, we gave the same tzedakah. I mean, everything was exactly the same. And so the angels, they said to him, you're right. Everything was the same. The difference is that everything that he did and you did, he did with great joy, with simcha, with happiness. So every time we do something, obviously we're going to get credit for it, or it's going to have some positive impact. But all the more if we do it with kavanah, with intent, with thought, with belief, and with love. The more that we do that, the more that we think positive, and the more we have that type of thinking, it becomes a habit, a good habit, a positive habit of thinking positive, of thinking in a way that I look to give other people joy as well, that I can inspire people just by the way I think. Just by talking to someone, we can all make an impact and share that happiness, even just by smiling. Smiling is so important. As Rav Reiti, a very renowned speaker, once said, when you smile, it's an act of kindness. Other people see this smile. So we have to really try and look for the good, look for the positive, believe in good things, and try to attract only holiness and love and joy into our lives. And try to do whatever we do with great joy and happiness. Because if not, it's a waste. And if you think about it, this moment right now that's passing is the most valuable moment in the entire world. Because all the money and all the influence cannot bring that moment back once it's gone. How we use that moment, or every one of those moments, or those collective moments in our lives, that's really up to us. Thank you, and may you have only joy and positive thoughts.